Now, I'm telling you guys, denial isn't just a river in Egypt, and no one knows that better than the Democratic Party. But some of their loudest voices are sounding the alarm. For one, prominent anti-Trump comedian Bill Maher are saying that people are voting with their feet and they're leaving blue states due to overregulation and high taxes. He even mentioned the American Redistricting Project, which is projecting Democrats will be losing congressional seats in blue states like New York and California. Meanwhile, red states like Texas and Florida are set to gain seats by 2030. Maher said it point blank. This looks like game over. In fact, he's set to meet President Donald Trump at the White House. Kid Rock offered to introduce him to the president because even though he's long been a fierce critic of Trump, he stood out among progressives with his criticism of so-called wokeism and calls to better understand Trump supporters. And the same with former Democrat turned Republican commentator Maher Kasparian from the Young Turks. She explained what drove her to ditch the Democratic Party after she started seeing an intolerance to debate and the free exchange of ideas, as well as the embrace of soft-on-crime policies by the left that she believed were detrimental to society. She even admitted she used to be a person who believed you could not be friends with conservatives or someone who supported former President Trump. Well, guess she finally woke up, huh? So basically, there's this mass exodus happening from the Democratic Party, and their leaders are just refusing to ignore it. We're talking statewide migration movement here away from Democratic strongholds. Stephen Moore, co-founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity and a senior fellow to the Heritage Foundation, explained that California and New York could both lose another count them, 3 congressional seats by the end of the decade. And Illinois, another 2, thanks to these states nearly losing a combined 5 million people over the last decade. So what do they have in common? Well, they have the highest taxes for their residents, for one. They say they're soaking the rich, but in reality, they're just losing their base and the middle class are left to pick up the tab. But do the Democrats acknowledge this? No, of course not. Instead, it's up to actual comedians like Bill Maher to state the obvious. Here, watch this.
Okay, so just to continue on this for a minute, because I just saw this really bad news for Democrats. 2030 reapportionment, there's a group called the American Redistricting Project, and in 5 years we will be redistricting. California is projected to lose 3 seats, New York 2, also going to lose a seat, Minnesota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Illinois, all blue states. Who's getting these? Texas, Florida, Idaho, and Utah. I mean, this looks like game over. You know, and the reason why people are voting with their feet is a lot of what your book is about.
Yeah,
taxes and regulation. I certainly been screaming about it forever. I did 3 years with a sign here that said, how long is it going to take me to get my solar hooked up? 3 years. Talking about it on television in this state. You couldn't do it. This state has almost 400,000 regulations. I just put in a new roof because the fire, I thought, oh, let's get a roof that's not going to burn up. 2 inspections. Why are you inspecting my roof? It's my fucking roof. If it falls on me, that's my problem. And we're taxed more than any other state. People are leaving these kind of states for places where they're not, they feel the heavy breath of government on them. It's not that hard for Democrats to understand this, but they seem to be incapable of doing anything about it.
Now, I want to say these people better not be leaving their blue states for a red one if they intend to vote left. We don't need that kind of mentality polluting our red states. You know what I mean, guys? And it sounds to me like he agrees with Stephen Moore. The reason why people are voting with their feet is a lot about taxes and regulation. He said voters are leaving highly taxed states like California for states that they don't feel the heavy breath of government on them. I don't want to feel government's breath on me either. He also calls out his own party, saying that it's not that hard for Democrats to understand this, but they just don't. They seem to be incapable of doing anything about it. Now, earlier in the show, Bill Maher cited an NBC poll released earlier this month that saw the Democratic Party hitting a new low in favorability. Now, according to the survey, only 37% of Democrats have a favorable view of their party. Among independents, just 11% had a favorable view. For Bill Maher, he's never seen one this bad, and he thinks that it's pretty much game over for the party. Now, this is probably why he's planning to meet President Donald Trump at the White House to kiss the ring and try to salvage whatever he can of his career. Kind of like I said earlier, Kid Rock offered to introduce him to the president, so now they're going to do that. He's also predicted liberals on the left will be angry about meeting with Trump, but he didn't even care. He said that there will be lots of people on the left who will be like, How dare you talk to that man? It's like, F you, I'm not playing this game that you mean girls play. Oh, you know what? You can't sit at my lunch table because I'm just not talking to you. Not talking to you? You lost the election. Who the F do you think you have to talk to? And as he pointed out, it's one thing if you win it. It's another thing if you lose it. So yeah, guys, Bill Maher coming to a red state near you. I just hope that he doesn't bring any of that wokeness to the red states. You know what I mean? Drop a quick yes in the comments down below, guys. Hit the like button if I'm making sense to you guys. Also, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more content like this. All right, so let's continue. Now, if we're ever in need of a reality check on Democrats, I don't think that we can find anyone better than Anna Kasparian unloading on her former party right here. Check this out.
I think that this is a small but incredibly loud and influential faction of the Democratic Party. This is not indicative of all Democrats. This is not indicative of all Democratic lawmakers. This is a small group of activists who like to bully, who like to go to city council meetings, who like to go to various rallies and essentially be loud, be threatening, be aggressive until they get their way. And for far too long, the Democratic Party has been terrified of these little mobs of people, these little mobs of activists, and have basically just carried out what these activists want. And I just think that they need to be a little smarter than falling prey to the whims of various activist groups, because they are not representative of the majority of Americans. The majority of Americans, especially in a state like California, want homeless people to be housed, but they also understand that this issue is far more complicated than the housing first policy of throwing anyone who doesn't have a home into an apartment, right? Because the fact of the matter is we have severe mental health issues out on our streets right now, people who are struggling with severe drug addiction. Some of these people actually do have families to go to or homes to go to. They need a different type of service. They need rehabilitation, not harm reduction, where we're just passing out needles and crack pipes thinking that it's going to solve the problem. It has not solved the problem. It has made the lives of these individuals struggling on the streets far worse, and it has also made the lives of hardworking, tax-paying Americans in states like California a lot worse. When I look at my life right now and I ask myself, which political party has made my life worse? It's not the Republican Party. Locally speaking, the Democrats have complete control and they have nearly destroyed my family's livelihood. Okay, we are living in trash and squalor everywhere. And unless the Democratic Party actually acknowledge these issues and solve these issues, rather than stealing our taxpayer money and funneling it to their nonprofit friends, they keep doing this, they're going to keep losing. And I'm going to keep speaking out against them. I don't care how much they hate Trump. I don't care how naughty the Republicans are being. Right now, the people having a negative impact on my life is the Democratic Party, and they need to change their ways. When we say we want to change the status quo, it doesn't mean we want to live in anarchy. It doesn't mean that we want to have $24 billion of our taxpayer money in California stolen by these nonprofits. It means that we want working people to be rewarded for their hard work. We want affordable housing. We want better working conditions, higher wages, better health care. These are things that Democrats used to purport to want to do. They don't do any of it anymore. And so I'm done with them until they change their ways.
I completely understand it.
Hey, if anybody's still voting Democrats after this, they may as well be Looney Tunes. You know what I'm saying, guys? Now, as Anna Kasparian explained before, a turning point for her was when she was scolded by liberals after confessing that she was fearful to leave her house after being sexually assaulted by a homeless man while walking her dog in Los Angeles in 2022. She said she was getting harsh messages saying that she's painting a picture of the homeless community and that they are unhoused neighbors and they need help. Oh, okay. And get this, guys. She also said a few people even accused her of being racist, even though she never even disclosed the race of the individuals who did this to her. And in fact, they were white, by the way. For Anna Kasparian, that woke her up. She said some of the people that she had associated herself with because she thought that they were good people. They definitely have stereotypes in their head and are totally blind to the fact that they have those stereotypes and they go around accusing others of being bad actors when they themselves need to do the work. Wow. I mean, isn't that a perfect description of the Democratic Party and their warped perspective of the world? Either you're with them or you're a threat to democracy and somehow a racist. As Jillian Michaels brought up while talking to Kasparian on her show, they're just virtue signaling and it's disgusting. Well, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you know, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. I mean, but this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax or a tax on the poor. I mean, I'm now at a point where, you know, like, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. You know what Kasparian said when she heard about the possibility of Kamala Harris becoming governor of California, right? She's going to move, which again perfectly encapsulates what's happening in blue states and cities. People just can't wait to get out of there. Just listen to Stephen Moore talk about this Dem city meltdown that's happening right now. Here, watch this.
New op-ed out, and it's titled "Blue State Dysphoria: Soak the Rich Policies Have Incited a Meltdown in Democrat-Run Areas." I believe you've got the number. So you tell us, how many people left Illinois, New York, and California in the last 10 years? I think you've got the absolute number, right? What is it?
Yeah, it's close to 5 million people. If you add New Jersey, which is the fourth big blue state, it's about 5 million people. This is one of the biggest mass migrations in American history. You know, if you look at, for example, the states that gained the most population over the last 10 years, you're talking about obviously Florida, Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. Those states, the Southeast now has a larger GDP, total combined economic output, than the Northeast. That's the first time that's ever happened in American history. So what's happening is not just a migration of people to these low tax states, but also a migration of business activity, capital investment. Look, the South is where it's at right now. And what is the response by the blue states? They keep raising their tax rates. California just adopted a new tax increase. Their top rate, you know what it is today, Stuart, in California?
Tell me.
14.4%. You can move to Florida and Texas and pay zero. This is a no-brainer.
But is it, but Steve, is it just taxes, or is it people wanting to move to a good business climate, a climate of expansion?
Yeah, good point, Stuart. So, yeah, it's the latter. It's not just taxes. For example, these states that are growing rapidly are right-to-work states. They basically say, look, they have unions, but you have, as a worker, the opportunity to join the union or not join the union. You can't be forced to. They have lighter regulation, better policies across the board, a pro-business atmosphere. And the point of my article today is the blue states don't get it, Stuart. They keep raising their tax rates. My home state of Illinois. You look at what's happening in Maryland and a bunch of other blue states. They continue to kind of soak the rich, and all that does is lead more people to leave. They're taking their jobs with them. I wish these blue states would get their act together and stop avoiding reality, which is taxes do matter, and they matter a lot.
The latest Consensus Bureau data confirms this too, guys. And honestly, it should be ringing alarm bells for lawmakers in blue states and cities across the country, because the data shows that the states that are pushing those tax the rich policies aren't just losing millionaires. They're losing millions of regular people too. Now, I mentioned this earlier, guys. California, New York, and Illinois top the list of states losing the most people last year. Combined, these three states have already lost 5 million people, and they're packing up and they're leaving over the last decade. And we're not just talking about population numbers here, guys, because this is also about political influence. At this particular rate, California and New York could each lose another 3 seats in Congress by the end of the decade. Illinois could lose another 2 more. And here's something else. These states happen to have the highest taxes in the entire country. Now, is this a coincidence? Stephen Moore doesn't think so. And honestly, neither do I. Yet, Democrats in these states, they keep doubling down on what they're calling fairness, pushing policies that aim to hit the rich even harder. The problem? Those very same policies could be pushing their states closer and closer to financial collapse. And you know who's left paying the bill? It's usually the middle class. The middle class who don't have the luxury of just picking up and moving whenever they want. So they stick it to the little guy. Now, despite this, 7 blue states this year alone are implementing or pursuing even higher tax rates on the wealth or the income of the top 1% earners, despite the evidence that these policies are detrimental to their citizens. Take Washington, for example, guys. This state used to attract top talent and high earners precisely because it didn't have an income tax. But now lawmakers there have introduced a huge 7.5% capital gains tax, one of the highest rates in America. Even more surprising is the state's Supreme Court ruling that the new tax is somehow constitutional. And they're not stopping there either. Washington State Senator Noel Frame now wants to add an annual 1% tax on financial intangible assets like cash, stocks, and bonds if your assets are worth over $250 million. And then politicians wonder why billionaires like Jeff Bezos decided that sunny Florida looks pretty good. And it's not just Washington making these moves either, guys. Look at Vermont, another famously progressive state. Lawmakers there are proposing yet another increase, this time taking the top income tax rate to more than 8%. That could make Vermont's rate the 5th highest in the nation. Pretty soon, Ben and Jerry might be the only rich guys left in the entire state. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if even they decided to leave at this rate. In Maryland, Democrats are joining the same parade, pushing for what's been called a millionaire tax on incomes over $750,000. They're also proposing a capital tax and a new corporate tax. So yeah, looks like these states haven't learned from what's happening all around them. California, always determined to be number 1 at something, just reclaimed its title for the highest income tax rate in America, bumping it up from 13.3% to 14.4%. I mean, congratulations, I guess. That's just ridiculous. Now, on top of that, California expanded its payroll tax, making it even tougher on businesses. That whole state's just gonna collapse, I'm saying. Now, here's the contrast, and it's pretty dramatic. Jonathan Williams, a fiscal analyst at ALEC, reported something fascinating. While blue states are jacking up taxes, red states are actually cutting theirs. In 2023 alone, 9 states, Arkansas, Connecticut, Indiana, Kentucky, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Utah, and West Virginia have enacted policies to reduce personal or corporate income tax rates. Oklahoma is also following suit later this year, dropping rates to as low as 2%. Now, what's more, many of these states are moving toward flat taxes instead of these multiple tier progressive rates. And you guessed it, guys, almost all of these states are red, except for Connecticut. So what does this really mean? Well, Stephen Moore, he makes 2 very big points. First, the so-called progressive thinkers in these blue states are either so convinced that they're right that they can't see their policies driving people away, or this might be worse. They just don't freaking care. And second, red states might actually be shaping the future of America. Low taxes, school choice, worker freedom, welfare reform, and pro-drilling energy policies are attracting countless frustrated residents from blue states. It's reshaping the American landscape. Not that long ago, Northeast was the economic powerhouse of America, but now the action is shifting fast. Cities like Miami, Nashville, Dallas, Austin, Charlotte, Tampa, and Salt Lake City are booming. In fact, the Southeast now generates more GDP than the Northeast. Stephen Moore calls it a blue state dysphoria. Basically, these states have to wake up and change their ways, or else they might be headed toward a financial cliff. By then, no amount of celebrity star power that they bring to their rallies can save them. But hey, let me know what y'all think, guys. Can Democrats still be saved at this point? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below. Let's get a conversation started. More in-depth discussions like this in our recommended videos as well, guys. Definitely check those out at the end of this one. And what more can I say? But appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for liking the video and subscribing. We'll see you next time.